Welcome to Enys, one of Cornwall's oldest estates, which has been inhabited by the Enys family since the 13th century. In Cornish, Enys means a tongue of land where two rivers meet. The current house you'll see here today is a Grade II listed building that was built between 1830 and 1832, after the old Elizabethan house built down in 1826. The estate you're visiting today encompasses just under 1,000 acres of land.
Originally built in 1272, Robert de Enys is the first recorded inhabitant of the estate. It continued to be passed through the Enys line through a series of deeds. The early members of the Enys family were known to include merchants, sheriffs, and a justice of the peace for Devon.
Valentine Enys was one of the family's more interesting members. He was the third son of Samuel Enys and Elizabeth Pendarves, and was brother to John Enys, who owned the house from 1697 until 1726. Born in 1653, Valentine soon established himself as a promising merchant and was able to become apprenticed to a top London merchant named John Moore in 1671. A few years later, Valentine found himself in the Canary Islands. By 1681, he was trading wine and pilchards on the Isles, which were an important trading post, especially due to the fact that it was en route to the Americas. However, Valentine's time in the Canary Islands was short-lived. By 1701, tensions caused by the War of Spanish Succession led to decrees being issued that expelled all English merchants from the Spanish-owned islands. Thus, Valentine returned to Penryn and to Summercourt House. He would then later be involved in the smuggling industry on packet ships in Falmouth. Moreover, before his death in 1719, one of his own ships would become victim to pirates. Francis, as the ship was known, set sail for Genoa in 1715, but was ambushed off the coast of Cape Finisterre. The ship's crew were taken to Salé in Morocco, the home port of the pirates. Upon waiting a favourable tide, a British frigate appeared and fired upon the ship. One of the ship's crew was 11-year-old Thomas Pellow, who was on board after convincing his uncle, who was the captain, to let him travel. Thomas could barely swim and only reached shore by clinging to an arrant mast. He was imprisoned in Rabat and made to walk to Enys, where he was brought into slavery. After several failed attempts to escape, Thomas finally managed to escape whilst acting as a travelling doctor. In his mid-30s by now, he managed to board a vessel heading for London on the 10th of July 1738. He returned to Falmouth on the 15th of October 1738 to a hero's welcome. In 1940, the British Admiralty requisitioned the estate for the Dutch Royal Navy to use as a training base for their officer cadets. Originally, they were not meant to occupy Enys for a prolonged amount of time. However, they remained at the estate until 1946, a year after the Netherlands were liberated.
By 1950, Enys had been transformed from a naval base into a boys' boarding school. The school encompassed 60 boys between the ages of 7 and 13, with 6 teachers, and with a headmaster and his wife who also taught. Life at the school included academic studies, sports and carpentry. Gardening and woodcutting were also encouraged, as well as personal reading time. John Davis Enys was one of the most widely travelled Enyses. He set up Castle Hill Station in the high country around Canterbury, New Zealand, with his brother Charles Enys in 1861. Both were prolific during their time in New Zealand. Charles Enys had a great passion for painting and created some stunning images. Likewise, John became New Zealand's most prominent authority on moths and butterflies, even having a moth, Chrysophanes enysi, named after him. Furthermore, he collected ferns and mosses, noting in 1866 that he had collected 140 different varieties. Many of his findings were deposited in the Canterbury Museum in New Zealand and the British Museum. Indeed, a mountain near Castle Hill Station has been named Mount Enys in recognition of the contributions the brothers had on the region.
The main attraction currently at the house is the gardens, open from the beginning of April on Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday afternoons between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. until the end of September. Enys offers a variety of gardens for visitors. The open meadow, known as Park Lie, known best for its brilliant spring show of bluebells. The flower garden containing the Huon pine at the entrance gradually being restored. In the wall garden, honey is produced and it has been made at Enys since 1998 by Roger Dewhurst. It is available to purchase in the shop, and the New Zealand garden inspired by John Enys.